Welcome to a few moments together on the Parsha. This Shabbos we have the privilege of reading Parshas Chaya, Parsha known as Chaya. And at the very beginning of the Parsha, we see that Sarah, who lived 127 years, they were known separately and together as 127 years. And as Rav Hirsch points out, each part of her existence, from the time she was 7 as a young child to 20 as a teenager and budding adult, and 100, in each and every one of those tekufos, of those periods of time, she analyzed and absorbed and projected the great gift of each period of time. It's good when we're young and we begin to learn, and when we're at a youth and turning to adult, where we actualize all that we learned and put it into practice, and finally, even in old age, we take upon all the values of that particular period of life that gives us an indication of the growth and maturity and intelligence and awareness of that particular part of life. The pasuk says that Sarah died in Kiryat Arba, which was Hebron. Vayavo Avraham, and Avraham came lispod l'Sarah to eulogize Sarah, v'liv kosa, and to cry for her. Of course, there are many issues over here in that particular phrase, Vayavo Avraham lispod l'Sarah v'liv kosa. First of all, the liv kosa is spelled with a small little chaf. And as the Baal HaTurim says, he didn't cry too much, very little amount. And there are those who explain, because if you take a look at the place they were in, which was Hebron, and Avraham had to come from the Akedah, which was in Yerushalayim, down to Hebron, and the period of time it took him, as the pasuk says, "Vayihi bayom hashlishi vayares hamakom beirachok," that it was a 3-day journey, and since the Akedah itself took place on Yom Kippur, so there was not much time to sit shiva or for Avraham to mourn for her, and consequently, v'liv kosa with a small chaf, because he hardly had an opportunity to mourn for her, as some of our Chazal point out, which are brought down in a number of various mefarshim. But there's more to it than that, for the very simple reason that normally the situation of mourning and the situation of hesped follow each other. Usually, when someone passes away, there is a tremendous amount of crying, and following the crying, we have an opportunity to make a levaya and come to the levaya and speak about the person and tell about their lives, and then we do the hesped. So normally the livkosa, the crying, precedes the hesped, and here it says, Vayavo Avraham lispod l'Sarah, to make a hesped for Sarah, v'liv kosa, and to cry for her. And our Chazal point out, and it's brought down to begin with by the Koheles Yitzchak, it's also dealt with by many other mefarshim, that when it came to understanding the value of Sarah to the world at large, it required that they would know about the greatness of this person, this Sarah, who was a very modest, an anava, a very private, a very tznius person. And so it might not have been well known. And so when Avraham comes to talk about Sarah and to tell about her greatness and to explain how he, Avraham, and his son Yitzchak were able to develop and to become so great, it required that there first be a hesped. And after the hesped, of course, came the crying. What we want to pay attention to is the fact that our lives are to be examples of what we represent and what we try to project for the future generations to know and to see, and for our souls to take with us as we go on the journey of life. What we want to do is make sure that it's not just a matter of, well, the person is no longer here, but the ideals of the person are no longer here. The things the person stood for, the great teachings that the person imparted to the family and to the friends, to the neighbors, as it says that Sarah was Megayeres es Hanashim. Sarah managed to help convert many women and to bring them closer to Hashem. And so it was that because Sarah was able to do this, therefore there were many who came to the Hesped, many who came to pay their homage to this great and holy woman. And that's the nature of what we should be striving for in our lives. When we're young, let's take full advantage of every opportunity to do the things that young people do in the growth potential that enables them to reach a meaningful and wonderful level of observance of the Torah and Yiras Shamayim, so that when they become older in years, people can admire them and learn from them and eventually speak about the great gifts that they imparted to the world that they left behind. So Parshas Chaya Sarah is really a life of Sarah. It talks about who she was as a human being, as a life force. And what we should inculcate within ourselves are all the ideas that Sarah represented and that Abraham brought out by the beautiful eulogies that he made. And as it says, Vayovo Abraham lispod l'Sarah v'liv ko sa. It's not a sad time. It's a time of reflection and thought and introspection to be able to grow and to make our lives so meaningful. Chaya Sarah gives us that opportunity. I want to take this opportunity to wish everyone a wonderful, wonderful Shabbos, a Shabbos of growth and satisfaction, a Shabbos of Shalom. Shabbat Shalom u'mevarach.